By the way, talking about carried, many many people carry emotions from their abuser or their
Well, I want to talk about
toxic,
that.
negative parent. And that carried stuff we call carried shame. Literally, it's called carried shame. And we take that because that's what we got from the people who didn't give us what we needed. And I
So
think
instead
that
of love,
we
get shame.
They get shame.
You know, let's say we have an angry mom,
Right.
whose mom herself was angry.
Right.
So this is the mother that ascribes incorrect notions about her child to the child. This child is crying to test me, right?
Right.
So, or the mother that's so punishing of the child just having a normal emotional experience of itself. Or a mother who starts to cut a child off when the child says, I feel,
Right.
or I don't like. The mother says, you don't feel that.
Right.
That's not true.
Right.
You know, I use the broccoli example, which is you're at the dinner table and your kid goes, I don't like broccoli. And the mother goes, yes, you do. But the good mother says, oh, okay, well, I won't serve it again. Do you want carrots or string beans?
I actually had an experience yesterday. I was doing some teletherapy with a couple I treated here. Now they're in Texas. And the husband is constantly negating the wife's experience. And he learned that.
Yeah.
So when you negate somebody's experience, say, oh, you're not feeling that. No, you're not thinking that. That's not correct. What is the receiver supposed to get from that?
Well, they start to disconnect.
Well,
And
they start to
not trust.
They don't trust themselves.
Right.
They don't trust the other. And they're going, well, maybe what I'm feeling is not what I'm feeling at all.
Yes.
So that's negation. They
Yes.
negate their own experience because it's being negated from the outside and reinforced that way. And that's not healthy either. And we see this in unhealthy bonding as well. When someone says, I'm experiencing this, it's kind of weird, mom or dad. Mom or dad, a good mom or dad is going to say, well, let's just talk about it. It's not weird. It's just part of human experience. Because everything in human experience is wide open, right?
That's very true. When we talk about, if we can go back for a minute to this notion of failure to launch, I have a client right now, and I just met with her yesterday. And so I want to share a story, which is this client has failed to launch, repeatedly ending up back in her addiction. And when we start to open this experience up, gosh, how did this happen? Where did it start and why? The client had a very particular experience at the age of 14. At a family camp, this client got together with a boy, and this client's mother caught them kissing and sort of, rubbing up against each other, as typical 14-year-olds might do at night on the tennis court or something. The mother lost her mind.
She lost her stuff.
And so here's the fact. The client's 14, the boy's 14 or 15. They're doing normal 14, 15-year-old stuff. The families are there for a week. The parents are there. What is actually going to happen? Nothing really terrible. This is a nice girl. She kind of knows herself. But the mother lost her mind and spent the rest of the time chasing this girl around, trying to find her in bushes or around corners or in other kids' rooms. So the family left the camp. There was a tremendous amount of shaming done to this girl. So as I was talking to her yesterday, she's almost 30 years old now, I said to her, and the client said, it was a lot for me at the time with this boy. It was really a little bit more than I was ready for. And I said, well, who did you have to talk to about that? Who was going to help you through it? You needed an older woman to go to in safety to be able to say, hey, I want to do kissing with this boy, but I don't want to do anything else. And I don't know how to name that. I don't know how to navigate that. And my client started to cry and she said, I wish that you were my mother. And I said, so this idea, that's what we do as therapists. I am the surrogate mother. I'm trying to do that kind of repair.
Sure.
So, we both do that. So I said to the client, this is a job of a mother. You are supposed to have an attachment with your mother that is safe. And when a situation like this comes up in one's development, you need to be able to go to your mom and talk about it. And my client just kept crying and crying, and she started to get, really out of breath. And she said, I couldn't do that. I was so shamed, and I have carried that shame with me. And I said, these are normal 14-year-old things. This is normal.
But
There's
not
no
for
problem.
her.
But not for her. And so this transmission of parental shame, that actually wasn't her shame at all, but it became her shame.
She carried it
from her
all
mother
of those
all the
years,
way.
16 years of carried shame.
Yeah.
And maybe even goes beyond that. So again, some of the adult behaviors that we might expect to see in people who are unable to form secure and healthy attachments in childhood. Do you think we've